What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Turf Talk. Of course, we are back here as we are every Thursday evening. We are at a little bit of a different time tonight, the 6 p.m. start time. I know we're a little late behind that 6 p.m. start time, but definitely wanted to get this in. We got a Sixers game to catch, but still want to bring that Thursday night NFL content for you. We do got a banger of an NFL matchup tonight.
Yes, sir.
The Green Bay Packers and the Arizona Cardinals. Got the Cardinals at 7-0, Packers at 6-1. As everybody knows, Devontae Adams out. J.J. Watt was lost for the season as well for the Cardinals. But we'll get into that. We'll preview that matchup, give you all the intel we got. We're also going to recap Eagles-Raiders. We're going to recap Saints-Seahawks from Monday night, just to get into a little bit of what happened in Week 7. And then we will also get you our updated power rankings. As you guys know, if you're already watching tonight, if you follow along, this isn't for you. But if you don't, make sure to go follow us at DSM_media on Twitter. We are at DSM do something major on Instagram. Make sure to follow us on both of those platforms. You'll find our link tree in the bios of those platforms. You'll be able to find us on every single social media platform, as well as any podcast streaming platform that you listen to podcasts on. And, of course, make sure you're following my loyal co-hosts here at DylanJD98 on Twitter. And, of course, myself at Scotty Drowned on Twitter as well. Dylan, what's up? Happy Thursday to you. We got a plethora of sports going on tonight. It's a very exciting time of the year.
Yeah, man, it'll be nice to sit back and relax and watch. We got Sixers at 7, Thursday night football matchup. Great matchup, like you said. And then for all you hockey heads out there, the Flyers coming off of a big win last night. Edmonton take on Vancouver tonight. And it'll be nice to just sit back and relax after a long day of watering and fertilizing my soil out front. So, it's all well in Philadelphia, right?
Love it. And yeah, we can try to pretend that it is, that's for sure. Regarding the first team that we're going to actually get into, or the first game, I should say, being the Eagles versus Raiders, 33-22 loss for the Birds. This one hurt incredibly. It hurt because I went into this game with a lot of optimism. You were coming out of the toughest part of the schedule that we felt, as far as starting the season there. And they just come out and they get slaughtered by the Raiders. This score does it zero justice. It's completely covered in garbage time stats, as are all the individual stats for the Eagles, including Jalen Hurts. Overall, just a terrible output by the entire team. But I'll let you digress first, Dylan. Were there any major takeaways you had from the game there?
Yeah, there were a lot, and I'll tell you what, Scott, every single one of them is a negative. There were no positives to be taken from that loss in Vegas. Nick Sirianni, and I'm sure we'll get to those comments that I alluded to, later in the show, but he's got a lot of phrases he likes to say, so I'll throw one to you. What happens in Vegas, for sure, does not stay in Vegas, because I felt that ass whooping all the way back here in Jersey, and I'm sure you felt it in the city of brotherly love as well. That team, they didn't show up. They didn't have any fight to them. They got out, just like the Sixers got outworked and out hustled on Tuesday against the Knicks. The Eagles got just as, if not more, outworked, out hustled, outfought. It looked like they gave up. And I think the biggest thing is what you opened up with is that final score, the box score stats and numbers. They don't paint a correct picture of what happened. And that's been one common trend for the Eagles this season is you go back to that Bucs game, they only lost by 6. They got thumped by Tampa Bay in that game. You go back to this Raiders game, they only lost by 11. They got their asses whooped after the first 2 possessions game. They look good for 2 possessions, Scotty. They scored on the first offensive drive, which was the first time since week 1. They intercepted Derek Carr inside the 5-yard line by Avonte Maddox on the first defensive possession. And that was it. Bottom line, they didn't show up. They got their asses whooped. And I walked away from that game thinking that we are going to lose to the Detroit Lions this Sunday. And I firmly believe that. And exactly, like pull out Jason's comment right there. It was 30 or 31-7 going into the fourth quarter. So sure, Jalen Hurts put up fantasy football numbers. He threw for 286, or 260, whatever it was. He had 2 passing touchdowns. He had like a 92 rating. He ran for over 60 yards. It all means nothing. He does it every week. The meaningless middle of the third quarter to early fourth quarter numbers that he puts up mean nothing to me. The box score, the final score, they do not paint a correct picture of what happened.
And you mentioned it all right there. And what I'm starting to think, just after hearing you say all that, basically Jalen Hurts starts to come alive whenever he's down 20 plus points.
Exactly.
And I'm starting to wonder if is it because of the defense that he's playing in practice, like when he's going against that Eagles shell of a defense that he's so used to the defensive players playing 20 yards back, because the defense didn't show up at all this season. I mean, my God, except for that Atlanta game, this defense, the Atlanta and the Carolina game, which we won both of those games, the defense has not even looked alive.
No.
So I'm wondering if the practice reps are just so easy for Jalen Hurts and that offense that when they get out on the football field and see a real defense, it's like, oh my God, like I haven't seen this all of training.
So,
like, what do you think, as far as the way you see this defense play other NFL offenses outside of our practice? Like, do you think that the defense is just looking totally different in practice? That they're playing way more aggressively?
So real quick, Jason right here, this is a great comment, not just because he calls him a jackass, but also because it's not just that he's in way over his head. Well, it is that, but every week you find more and more that Nick Sirianni is not qualified for the job he was given this offseason. It's becoming more and more evident every single week, and that's not something, we hope to see through 7 weeks. And for all the people that want to tell me, oh, it's only 7 games, give him one. No, I can definitively tell you he is not a good head coach in the National Football League. At least he's not a good play caller. That's at the very minimum, he should not be calling plays. Okay. As far as the defense thing goes, 2 things. A, this defense is softer than baby shit. You want to hang your hat on the fact that you don't give up the deep play, you don't give up the deep ball, you don't give up any explosive plays, and you're number 1 in the league in yards per completion. You give up less than 10 yards per completion. That means nothing when you allow opposing teams and opposing quarterbacks to pick you apart and complete over 80% of their passes week in and week out. It means nothing with that soft vanilla defense that sit back, not allow anything get behind us. It means nothing when they can just complete first down after first down, go down and punch it in because your defense is horrible. Scotty, that I almost called them Oakland. That Vegas rushing attack was the worst rushing attack in all of the National Football League heading into last week. The Eagles couldn't stop a nosebleed against them. Okay. Derek Carr, my uncle texted me after, from a distance we have observed. Okay. Thank you, aliens. What is it? What's that weird shit?
Yeah.
You too. Yeah. But like my uncle texted me after the game and he was like, I'm being serious. Have you ever seen a quarterback throw 31 of 34? And I sat there and I'm like, no, like I don't believe I have. And I try to think back, and I'm sure there's been a time where a quarterback has had an outrageous game like that. I can't remember a time where someone threw 34 balls and only had 3 incompletions, one of which hit his offensive player in the hands and went for an interception. Okay. But I know I'm taking a lot of time here, and I want to get it back to you right now. But you mentioned Jalen Hurts, and I can't allow that though, because I can't make an excuse for the kid, because something I heard someone said to me before was like, if he was the guy, or could he, he's not going to be the guy like right off the bat, but he would show glimpses, right? And we give the excuse of the play calling and the offensive line and the weapons, and now it's, the defense in practice throughout the week, and it's that bad. He gets different looks through it, like in regular games. No, if he was the guys can elevate you. The guy can mask bad play calling and average to below average wide receiver play and having to throw the ball a lot of times and a bad offensive line, whatever. The guy can mask that at times. Not every game, but no. I think that's becoming truer and truer every week, is what Jason just said.
I was
totally. No, I know, but I'm just saying,
about the defense.
No, I know. Thing, but I'm just saying, I don't want anyone.
How bad the Eagles defense.
I just find more and more every week, outside people like Eagles Facebook, which I'm learning to be is worse than Eagles Twitter, which I didn't know a place like that existed. Eagles Facebook is a brutal place to observe, and I see excuses made every week, and it's just like, not every bad game, not every bad throw, not every missed opportunity is growing pains. Maybe he's just not that good. Jason, 2 people in history with 30 passes and above 90%. Drew Brees and Derek Carr, and Carr has done it 2 times. This was his second game. Well,
yeah, and as far as Jalen Hurts, I mean, he's in the same boat as Sirianni. He's in the same. The one thing I would say is, maybe they don't let Sirianni go, but I would definitely fire Jonathan Gannon. I mean, that shit is disgusting to watch every Sunday in and out. But I would say Sirianni and Hurts are in the same boat. They're going to spend the rest of this season now, because there's a lot of people that are already out on them, and rightfully so. They're going to spend the rest of this season trying to prove that they belong in the NFL in these positions, right? As a starting quarterback, as a head coach. Jalen Hurts, honestly, what he looks like is a quality ass backup.
Yeah, 100%.
He looks like 100% looks like a quality backup quarterback. Can come in, do a few things. You're going to have to adjust your offense and simplify it for him. And then he can come in and do a few things with his legs and get out of the pocket, do things like that. But as far as an every down quarterback making the throws from the pocket, because I saw people talking about Devontae Smith, like the 3 drops. Come on, yo. Like, they're trying to, bring up Devontae Smith's drops as
not drops, bro.
An effective stats to support Jalen Hurts. No. All of those throws were out of place. You have Devontae Smith running this way.
That was the worst one.
His hands back this way.
I had to listen to Jonathan Vilma call it a drop.
Yeah. And Jonathan Vilma, and he's calling the game again.
Oh, yeah, they are. And listen, man,
he's brutal.
I mean, good for you. Jonathan Vilma has a great job, and I'm not trying to be an asshole, but he's a hard listen. Like, the amount of times I had to listen to Jonathan Vilma talk about this Eagles front 4, like they are the Eagles front 4 from, 2016, 2017, 2018. Like he talked about them like they were the Steel Curtain, like they were the 85 Bears. Like, he talked about them like they were otherworldly, and it's just really like you watch. First of all, that tells me you did no preparation heading into this game. You hear the name Fletcher Cox, and you're like, yeah, I know that guy. Secondly, that tells me that you're not paying close enough attention throughout the game. Like, the Eagles defensive line made 0 plays in this game, like 0 zilch.
0 pressure, 0.
No, they didn't sniff Derek Carr. Okay. And that's your takeaway? Like, their defensive line and Fletcher Cox? Like, what, dude?
Yeah. These teams, these quarterbacks specifically that are coming in to play the Eagles every weekend and week out, they're excited as hell. They're excited to go out there and play. You saw Derek Carr was smiling, laughing the entire game. And they just let go of their head coach, by the way, right? And they just come out and just dismantle the Philadelphia Eagles. Whatever. We'll see what happens going forward. I'm with you. The Lions, I'm not very hopeful in that game. The Lions at least play hard.
Exactly. You know what the Lions do, Scotty, if anything?
Throughout the season.
They fight.
Okay.
The Lions just took to the LA Rams in LA to the brink last week. The Lions were a Justin Tucker 66-yard longest field goal in NFL history away from beating the Baltimore Ravens a couple weeks ago. Okay? You know what team couldn't do either of those things? Philadelphia Eagles. The Lions play hard. They're at home. They got to be confident coming off of that Rams performance. You know they're itching, and Dan Campbell is itching to get their first win because they've been so close a couple of times. It's the perfect storm brewing. You have a shit storm brewing in Philly right now, and you have the Lions who week in and week out seem to be getting kind of closer to pulling one in and getting their first win of the year. And it seems like it's all going to happen.
All lining up.
And I know we're not talking about that game right now. We'll do that on Sunday's episode. But I just have a very bad feeling that they're going to make Jared Goff look like Patrick Mahomes in 2018.
And I think, Jason mentioned it, and like you said, we'll get into the Lions on Sunday, but they're going to make DeAndre Swift. He's going to look like this all-pro.
They have no chance of stopping that rushing attack.
There's no chance. I mean, even Jamal Williams is a quality running back. He runs hard. What I'll say, my leaving notes from the game as far as keys going forward, right? We've like drilled these into the ground. It feels like we're saying the same thing each week. 3 receptions for Dallas Goedert, 70 yards. He got that first long reception on the first drive. Didn't see the ball again until the fourth quarter. Devontae Smith, we need some more on-target passes to Devontae Smith, get the ball in his hands.
Talk about the other two.
Whatever.
I will.
Yeah.
I will.
Whatever you get from Rager and
Quez.
And Quez.
Right. Like, here's my issue, dude.
Right.
And it's like it stirs something in me, like with our fan base, like my brothers and my sisters of this fan base, who I want to be friendly with and who I want to love. Really piss me off. Well, like there's a point of being an hopeful Eagles fan and an optimistic Eagles fan. And, I always see people say like, win, lose, sucky, shitty. Like I bleed green. So do I, but I'm realistic. So in the off season, when I'm not sold on Jalen Hurts, don't tell me I'm a hater. When I make fun of Nick Sirianni for his press conferences, not make fun of, but say that's going to be an issue.
Well, the Eagles are a flower.
Yeah. Well, and we're going to get to that in a second. Trust me, I'm not letting that go by. But then 2 people I heard all off season about, and boy, did they look good in training camp and preseason. Quez Watkins and Jalen Reagor. The Jalen Reagor revenge tour. Quez Watkins, former, what was Quez, 6th or 7th round?
Undrafted, I think.
No, I think he was the same year as Hightower. I think Hightower was a 6. I think Quez was, they were right around the same, I think. Quez Watkins bounced breakout year. Oh, okay. Well, Quez Watkins can't seem to catch more than 2 or 3 balls a game. Jalen Reagor's lucky to snag 2 balls a game. Now, don't get me wrong. Made a play on Sunday in garbage time, went up, caught a ball, took it to the end zone, right? They combined for 4 catches for 72 yards, 62 yards, something like that on Sunday. Okay. Now, like stop with the fanboy shit, dude. It bothers me because what they try to do, Scotty, is then they try to tell me and you when we're pessimistic about them or we're not as believable. They try to tell us we're haters. No.
They need to.
I just know what my eyes tell me. And former 6th or 7th round draft pick Quez Watkins isn't going to turn into a number 2. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be flat out honest with you. They have to go ahead and get ready to go and get a number 2 wide receiver. And I hate to say that after spending 2 consecutive first-round picks. I'm not saying draft a wide receiver in the first round. They need a veteran wide receiver to come in here. If it's a number 1, that's perfect. Maybe you slide Devontae Smith to that number 2 wide receiver early on in his career. But I'm cool with going out. We need to go get a veteran wide receiver too. Somebody that can go up, get contested.
Hey, Chicago doesn't throw the ball to Allen Robinson. So
Allen Robinson, Devontae Adams is a free agent. I know that's, not the most realistic, but there's going to be some guys that are available this offseason. And the Eagles have money. They have cap. They're going to have to go out. There's a lot of holes to fill, but a reliable number 2 wide receiver is one of them as well.
So, Scotty, before we move on to Sirianni's speech.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught the end of the Faithful Fanatic show. I did.
I was getting ready for this one, man.
we had a commenter, Ken, which, by the way, again, Ken, if you're watching this, thank you for tuning in and commenting. But I was talking about the issues with the Eagles. Now, Jalen Hurts ain't the guy. Sirianni and Gannon are unqualified, but it starts at the top with Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie. I was talking about the draft. And I had the first person ever in the year and a half, 2 years I've been doing this come to me and comment and defend Howie Roseman's draft classes. He threw out, here's what he sent to me in the comments: Lane Johnson, Brandon Graham, Carson Wentz, Zach Ertz, Jason Kelsey. And I said, what? And he was like, those were Howie's picks. Oh my God. You gave me 5 or 6 names in over a decade's worth of draft picks. And like having people out there that actually believe Howie, like that's this. So my whole point in this, bringing that up was, I'm honestly scared for the offseason, because as fun and entertaining as it should be, Scotty, where, we're not going to be very good. So we're going to have a top 10 pick, maybe higher. The Dolphins pick could turn into a top 3 pick. The Colts, with the way it's trending there, we're going to get their first round pick. We're going to have 3 first round picks. We're going to get the Wentz dead cap money off the books. We're going to have money to spend, right? 2022 is going to be the year. I have little to no faith that anything gets accomplished this offseason. And if nothing gets accomplished this offseason, this team is headed to a dark place. Like a dark, dark place. And that's kind of where I'm at. My whole point was that's where I'm at with this team. When I went after that Vegas loss, it kind of just a spiral, like a tornado winds just picked up in my head, and I'm like, nothing looks positive right now.
Yeah, I mean, you said it all there. I mean, the one thing I'll give to Howie, I guess, and this is even questionable because we've seen the contracts that he's given to people that are already on the team. He always seems to make decent signings in free agency. That is one thing that he, does seem to have a little bit of a grip on.
But can I throw this to you, though? Like, we thought that, right? Like, this offseason, we gave Howie credit for the holes that he was able to plug in with a little bit of money. Well, when you really go back and analyze them, Eric Wilson might be the worst linebacker in football. Ant Harris has struggled this year. Steve Nelson, who I was huge on board to go get. I can't really talk down on Howie because of that one, because I wanted him before Howie even went out and did it, has struggled this year. So, like, at times it's like, yeah, he finds signings, but I just feel like that 2017 year, everything went correctly. And since then, it's just like, what does he do? He manages the cap. And then you think, he manages the cap good. Well, does he? Because we're in cap hell, and I'm pretty sure that falls under his jurisdiction. So I don't know, dude. I'm fearful going forward. Now, obviously, once the season comes to an end and I get this dreadful team out of my mind and out of my vision every Sunday, I'll get excited about the draft and free agency and what they could build here. But it's going to be a lot of long nights and a lot of fear.
Yeah, I'll let it at that. I'm done talking about the Eagles, man. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Isn't that sad that we're here?
I told you it's becoming almost dreadful to talk about them. I know we have to, just because that's our squad, and I'm never gonna lose complete faith in them. But my goodness, it's not.
Good thing we didn't pick them to win the division in our preseason rankings, in our off-season division rankings.
I feel dumb as hell for picking them for second. I mean.
Yeah. I feel dumb as hell for picking them for second or third.
Third, yeah, even third. So, I mean, we can let it at that. We can get into another dismal game. We don't have to spend too much time on this Monday Night Football matchup. But we had a 13-10 win by the New Orleans Saints over the Seattle Seahawks. Obviously, Jameis Winston, we had him in the game, 19 for 35, 222 yards, touchdown. Actually had 8 carries, 40 yards rushing. And then, of course, they're going up against Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks there. Geno, 12 for 22, 167 yards, 1 touchdown. That offense is just complete.
What did DK finish with?
DK finished with 96 yards on 2 receptions.
And one of them was an 84-yard house call.
84-yard touchdown catch. Kamara, he did his thing, obviously. He just gets force-fed the ball there in New Orleans. 20 carries, 51 yards, 10 receptions, 128 yards, and a touchdown. That's ultimately what won them the game. But, my takeaway, and I'll let you digress after this, but neither of these teams, obviously the Seattle Seahawks are plummeting without Russell Wilson, but that's not necessarily an impressive showing by the Saints either.
No, it wasn't. I'm not going to lie. I didn't watch a ton of this game. I saw the house call by DK early. What else was on Monday? Where the Flyers weren't on? What the hell was I watching on Monday night?
Oh, we had so I think we were just exhausted, dude.
Yeah.
We had Mark Zumoff on, and then we did Scotty Talks NBA.
Yep, yeah. Then I think I kind of just
probably just chilled out.
I watched the beginning of the game. It's not. Yeah, I mean, listen, the Saints are, I believe, 4-2 right now. They found themselves in an interesting spot.
Yeah.
Shake and Joel playing. Wow. Okay, Gint.
Yeah. So I'm happy to see Shake. I want to see.
Happy to see Shake, but I want to play Joel tonight. But that's a side note.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, the Saints are in a weird spot where they're 4-2. They're second in that division. They're not going to beat out, like, no matter how long you like. Oh well, the Saints are hanging right there with the Bucs. They're not going to beat the Bucs for this division. But with the extended, wild card where 3 teams get in, with how bad the NFC East is, not a second team from there is getting in outside of the division winner, most likely being Dallas this year. And then you look at the basement of some of the rest of the divisions, like the Seahawks are done. The Niners don't look competitive, right? So you got to figure 2 out of the West. And then in the North, you have the Packers, where the Panthers are falling off. The Bears aren't any good. And then maybe the Vikings. So the Saints most likely, Scotty, are a playoff team at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Which, it's in a few weeks when that trade deadline comes up, maybe we'll do a little buy or sell market here on Turf Talk. But the Saints, they beat who they were supposed to beat. As far as the Seahawks go, I have nothing to take away from Seattle. This is the hand you have right now. Russell Wilson's out. You're stuck with Geno Smith. Fantasy owners, you better look for replacements for DK and Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, Tyler Lockett, my goodness.
Really hurts because I have Tyler Lockett in 2 leagues and DK in 1 league. I know DK scored, but Geno is just, he's not going to get them the ball effectively.
He's so limited. And they talked about bringing in Cam Newton. I mean, that's worth a shot at least. It's better.
I guess. Yeah. I mean,
something. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe they just said screw it. Maybe they just want a better draft.
Well, how long is Russ out for again? It was 6 to 8, wasn't it?
I believe it was 6 to 8. It might have been 4 to 6.
Well, that's what just sucks. And I think me and you brought that up before, was should they give Cam a call when this was going on? And it's just interesting because with the extended wild card and playoff setting, it's like if you could have stayed afloat with Russ out, you could probably be a playoff team. They have no shot at staying afloat. Not with that offensive line, not with that defense, not with Alex Collins as your number 1 running back, and then Geno Smith. Like, that team might not win another game while Russell Wilson is out. I think that shows you 2 things. A, that the GM in Seattle needs to be fired because they just do not have a good roster. And B, it shows you the greatness of Russell Wilson. But yeah, that game, I think I'm glad I didn't watch much of that game.
I never understand teams that put themselves in these situations where they have like some old, Geno Smith isn't some young prospect to work on or, get him experience in the game. Like, why not have somebody maybe that you don't think is a predecessor to Russell Wilson, but somebody that, has a little bit of youth to them, has a little bit of upside that maybe you can get out there, if something happens to somebody like Russell Wilson. I just never understand teams in those situations. If you have a quality veteran quarterback backup, like a Nick Foles, like a Josh McCown in previous years for the Eagles.
Like Joe Flacco?
Joe Flacco, yeah. Even Joe Flacco, like, that's fine. Like, okay, that's a good backup quarterback. But Geno Smith has proven literally nothing in this league to even get a veteran backup quarterback spot.
No.
I would rather see somebody with youth and upside there. Maybe they're not scheduled to take over for
No,
Russell.
I mean, I think you're right on. And again, it just goes back to whatever that GM is doing in Seattle. It's like Geno Smith in no way, shape, or form should be employed right now.
Yeah, like for
And
example,
I don't mean that as a shitty thing. Like it's how he makes his living. Like I'm not trying to be an ass, but like when I'm talking about like judging football, like you said, as a backup quarterback, it's either an experienced vet who can manage a game and, you know, keep you afloat like some of the guys you listed, or B, it's a young guy who's sitting there, you know, kind of learning the ropes, seeing upside ball. Like Geno Smith has proven that he's not a good quarterback in this league. He's not like a savvy vet at this point of his career. He's not like, he's just in this middle ground of, in no way, shape, or form, if I was running a franchise, would Geno Smith be a backup quarterback on my roster?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And ultimately, it's going to hold them back in what they're trying to do this season, which I'm not exactly.
Playoff hopes are gone.
Yeah, I'm not clear on what the Seahawks are actually trying to do.
You know what it does do, though, Scotty? It might not be totally fair, but it most likely locks in my Seahawks fourth in the NFC West prediction. Might not be fair, but it does do that.
They should definitely lose, you know, enough to get into that position. I doubt the 49ers will plummet that far. But Seahawks 2-5, they got the Jags up next, so that's a little bit of a breather for them. But Jags just got their first dub recently too.
Yeah.
So. And then the Saints actually do play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers next week, so that will be interesting. So let's get into our power rankings, and we get a little bit more time. We've done pretty well with the timing of our segments today, so we actually
we're not getting a little overboard today.
We get a little bit of time to actually get into our power rankings, which is nice for once. How do you want to do it this time? You want to go 5 and 5, or do you want to go through each?
We can go each one, and we'll go back and forth.
Okay.
One. Perfect. I figure start at 1 because I think we kind of know who our first 3 are.
Fair.
So at number 1, I do have the team behind me. I do have the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray. They were number 1 on my list for the last week or two. Have not lost, have looked more and more impressive. So no way, shape, or form, as the last undefeated team in the NFL, are they getting bumped from number 1 at the time being.
Yeah, so as far as my number 1, obviously I'm matching you. The Arizona Cardinals 7-0. They have. We need to go back and look when they became the number 1 team on our power rankings. I believe it was the week after they beat the Rams. I would imagine we moved them up to that number 1 spot.
I think so.
But 7-0, they play the Packers tonight, which will be a nice test. Without Davante Adams, it's not.
Yeah, it takes away from the hype of the game for sure.
Takes away from it a little bit. We'll get into that in a little while there. But the Cardinals, 5th passing offense, 5th rushing offense, so they're very balanced on offense. And then 21st rushing defense, 6th passing defense. So very, very good defense when you're talking about one of the top tier offenses in the league to balance everything out. But I'm with you. There's no discussion there for number 1.
Yeah, not at all. Number 2, 2 and 3 are interesting to me because I believe they're at the same record right now. My number 3 beat my number 2, but it's who looks more impressive. To me, it's who looked more impressive this past week. I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 2 for me. That's up 1 slot, I believe, from where I had them last week, which is weird because I flip-flopped these 2 and 3, and both teams won. So it's weird to be like, oh, well, why did the next team get dropped? But the next team had a little bit of a struggle against a bad team, while Tom Brady and the Bucs absolutely took it to Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears. The Bucs, you know, they had that down week to the Rams, but they're mowing teams down left and right, dude. Brady leads the league in passing yards, I believe, at this point. I don't even know how many touchdowns does he have right now. He's got to be averaging 3 or 4 a game.
Last game.
He looks unreal. They look unreal. Tampa Bay at number 2.
Yeah, I'm right there with you again. I actually have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 2. They're 6-1, coming off that 38-3 spanking of the Chicago Bears.
Dude, they took it to them,
annihilated the Bears, which they should do, right? But the fact that they're putting up 30+ points, it feels like every single week. Tom Brady's not missing a step.
I mean, to be honest, when you saw backward snapback Tom on the sidelines, bro, you should have known. Like, Like swagger, like confidence is at an all-time high in Tampa, and that's a really scary thought.
Yeah, exactly. And these guys are having fun. And guess what? Gronk's going to be back soon.
Yeah.
So the fun is going to continue at an even higher clip. First in passing offense, 21st in rushing offense, 26th in pass defense, first in rushing defense. So they're another team that has a nice balance there. Obviously, a lot's been talked about their passing defense, but with their pass rush and the fact that they completely shut down one facet of the offense, their defense is going to be fine as they keep growing. They'll get guys back healthy, like Richard Sherman, those corners in the secondary. But yeah, Tampa Bay, they're looking like, I know we love the Cardinals, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are looking like that Super Bowl favorite. It looks like they are just kind of going in stride. They got a routine down, a rhythm, and they're just going week to week dominating. And it doesn't look like there's much that can get in their way right now.
Yeah, man. Number 3. I'm just going to keep this quick. It is the team that I just said beat the Bucs. Excuse me. I had the LA Rams at number 3. They still continue to look really good on both sides of the ball. I just bumped them down because, like you said, one team at the 2 and 3 level took it to the Bears. The Rams did struggle a bit with the Detroit Lions in LA. So that's why I bumped them down a little bit, but I still like them to come out of the NFC, even though I do have them behind the Cardinals. The Cardinals did beat the Rams. I still think the Rams make it out of the NFC to the Super Bowl this year. So I got the LA Rams at number 3.
Yeah, once again, LA Rams, I got them at number 3, 6-1. You mentioned everything about them. Only losses to the Cardinals, which obviously the Cardinals are undefeated. The LA Rams have just had a very disappointing outing against the Detroit Lions, where you thought maybe McVay would have a little bit of a revenge game, like they would come out with massive intensity.
Yeah, like I thought.
To, stomp the Lions. Matthew Stafford as well, going back against a team that he played most of his career with. Just came out. They didn't lose. Obviously, they've still won by double digits, but it just was way too close, way closer than what it should be, and they allowed the Detroit team to hang in there way too long. So not a bad week for the LA Rams. It's not like they lost, but these are fluid power rankings, so we got to keep it real with each team. Rams at number 3 for me as well.
All right, first 3 teams are in the NFC. I think it's very shocking, very telling. I'm going to take it a step further. My number 4 is also in the NFC and is the team behind you, Scotty.
This is hilarious.
You got the Packers at 4?
Yes.
The Green Bay Packers have found a way to kind of stay below the radar this year, where they haven't looked overly impressive yet. They're they brushed off that week 1 spanking to the Saints, and they've just busted out 6 in a row. It's impressive the way that, like I said, Rodgers is playing really well, Adams is playing really well. That defense is doing its thing, but they're kind of just staying right here, staying right below it. So everyone, don't pay attention to me, but I'm 6-1 on the year. Obviously, huge test tonight. They are shorthanded, and we will get to that game in a little bit. But yeah, man, I got the Packers at 4. Rodgers is playing at a high level, and they're just fun to watch.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. They're fun to watch, and it's like, I guess the reason I'm so inclined to like the Packers as well is every week you can put up a nice parlay with them. Stacking Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, and then Devontae Adams each week. They always
I hit one last week on them.
Yeah.
It was short. It was Rodgers over. It was Rodgers 250 plus passing, Packers money line, Devontae Adams anytime TD score.
So okay, no, I'll tell you what I got for tonight. When we get,
we'll get.
I was going to give it to you now, but yes, I got the Packers at number 4 as well. I'm with you, 6-1. Wins over the Bengals, which that win looks a lot stronger now as well. They've also beat the Steelers and the 49ers, 2 other notable teams there. But yeah, they're kind of just like you said, riding under the the trends that nobody's paying attention. They're not garnering a lot of respect in the national media either, but they're just doing what they have to. They're running through their schedule and figuring it out. But we'll get into the matchup tonight because it's an interesting one. Even though they're undermanned, you still just never count out Aaron Rodgers, right?
No.
But yeah, number 4, Green Bay. We're the same so far. And
All
honestly,
right.
I could have went 5 NFC teams.
This one is not an NFC team. This one resides in the AFC. And before I say who it is, I want to say there are a lot of really good teams that could be put here. Obviously, last week I had the Ravens here. They lost. They're not there. They're still floating around there. The team that beat the Ravens, Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, look really good. They could be there. The Chargers, coming off a bye week, are right around there. The Raiders give it to the Eagles. They're a really good team. The Bills are not that team. And they very well, are probably my favorites to come out of the AFC, but I can't do it as the Bills lost to this team 2 weeks ago. And then they come out and handle Patrick Mahomes. The Tennessee Titans and King Henry are number 5 on my list. A team that I was down on after the first 2 or 3 weeks, just kind of underperforming. They get smacked by Arizona in week 1. I think they won their next 2, but they still didn't look all that good throughout the next 2 weeks. And then here they come, and they beat the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football, and then last week they give it to Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, holding them to 3 points.
Unheard of.
The Tennessee Titans right now, again, do I think they're going to beat the Bills and go to the Super Bowl? No. But as of right now, Tennessee Titans are number 5 on my list.
Yeah, no, and I'm not upset with that pick at all. I actually like the Titans there. That's somebody I considered for number 5. Honestly, some of these teams that didn't make it to number 5, just the ones that I was kind of contemplating on, really just bye week, more of recency bias and reality. As far as the Cowboys, if the Cowboys played this previous week in week 7,
I'm sorry, that's very disrespectful. I meant to list the Cowboys as teams that could be there.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I could have 5 NFC teams there and feel totally comfortable with that. The NFC is looking like a stronghold, a powerhouse there at the top. But I have the Cincinnati Bengals, one of the teams you did mention there, coming off an incredibly impressive win against the Baltimore Ravens, who Joe Burrow was winless against. They had lost, I believe, 6 straight to Baltimore. Cincinnati, that is. Only losses to the Bears, which is a bad loss. Loss to the Packers, that's not a bad loss. That was a very close game. Came down to a couple, ridiculous kick attempts. But beat the Ravens. It beat the Steelers. It beat the Vikings this year. But the Ravens was that first really quality check win for the Cincinnati Bengals. And they look like a very serious team. When you're talking about going up against their offense, obviously, Jamar Chase is very early in his career. Joe Burrow's very early in his career. Joe Mixon's only, in his 3rd or 4th year of his career. How do you stop that offense? I mean, when you have a huge receiver, a huge option in T. Higgins, who goes up, he gets the jump
Tyler
ball.
Boyd.
Tyler Boyd plays
Not to mention their tight end who's just burst on the scene.
Zuma, or whatever his name is. Yeah, he's been a monster with Joe Burrow. And then Jamar Chase, does he leads the league in receiving yards?
He might, dude.
I'm pretty sure he does. He's sitting at over 700 through 7 games.
That team is way ahead of schedule, in my opinion. Yeah. And it's in large part due to the greatness of that connection of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase.
Electric.
It's hard for people. It's hard for people to think that a young, inexperienced team with not a great defense. They're still years away. Joe Burrow's still a couple years away. That taking, Jamar Chase. People didn't think they needed to take Jamar Chase there. People thought, take Penei Sewell.
Yep.
I think, Penei Sewell was still there.
Yeah.
People, they thought, don't take the sexy pick. Take a pick that's going to help you win. Well, guess what? That young stud wide receiver who took the year off last year has absolutely dominated. Dude, he just dominated Marlon Humphrey. Do you realize that?
Yeah. That's what was so impressive.
Marlon Humphrey. He just took the work. Okay. So that pick has panned out. That, by the way, everyone, because I wanted Jamar Chase. That's obviously, I love the Devontae Smith pick. I love Devontae Smith. I think the kid's going to be a great wide receiver in this league. And at the end of the day, I don't know who will have a better and more successful career.
Yeah.
And it's only 7 games for both. And one's in a good situation, one's in a shitty situation. But when before the draft, when I had a pick, I wanted Jamar Chase. Like when the Eagles were still at, what were we at? 6? I wanted Jamar Chase.
Yeah,
and we traded out, and I kind of figured that ended it. Now, Chase still wouldn't have been there. He went 5 to Cincy.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, smart move. You go out, you get Devontae Smith. But then I heard a lot of people being like, "Oh, you traded back and still got the better receiver." No, like Jamar Chase was a freak. And
Yeah.
it's showing already. That team is talk about exciting to watch. That team's exciting to watch.
Yeah, that was heavy recency bias. Anybody that was saying that Devontae Smith was better
For sure.
Chase. You know, the thing I thought about Devontae Smith, maybe the most polished route runner coming into the league, maybe, but I'm not even sure that that's the case with Jamar Chase. He's a freak, and
and by the way, this is not a jab at our guy. Like I love Devontae Smith.
One goes at 10, right? Like that's the difference, and it is what it is. We'll see if Devontae Smith can prove to be a better wide receiver than Jamar Chase. But now,
if you put Devontae Smith in Cincinnati with Joe Burrow, who the hell knows what the difference looks like, right? So
with Joe Burrow, and then you have 2 other quality receivers with a good running attack as well.
Right.
And, you know, just before we move on from the Bengals, that pass rush is incredible as well with Trey Hendricks over there in Cincinnati. And they were able to kind of put – I'm not going to say they put the clamps on Lamar Jackson, but they were able to control that game.
Dude,
in the Bengals.
What happens in the AFC when the Bengals, Chargers, and Raiders all make the playoffs this year?
I was just thinking, you know, are the Browns going to make the playoffs? Like, if they don't get healthy soon,
no,
are they going to be able to catch the Ravens and the Bengals?
Hold on, I want to think about something. And now you have the Colts are starting.
Yeah,
their wheels are starting to churn, right? So let's think about this. There's expanded. So let's just go division by division. You're going to have the Bills in the East, right?
Yeah,
let's say time being Bengals win their division, right? Bengals in the North. You're going to have the Titans in the South. And then you have, let's say, the Raiders in the West, right? Then you're going to have, let's say, the Ravens as a wild card. Let's say the Chargers as a wild card. Then you leave the Browns, Colts, Chiefs fighting for that last. Like, dude, there's a world where the Chiefs don't make the playoffs this year. Do you realize that?
And it's getting more realistic and realistic week by week.
This ain't a week 1 loss for the Chiefs, dude. A week 2 loss early in the year. This is a common trend where their quarterback has looked rather earthly this year.
Yep.
Their defense is a problem.
And now he's coming out of concussion protocol. So
there's a world where the Chiefs and the Browns don't make the playoffs this year.
That's pretty insane to think. 2 teams for wild.
2 teams that were Super Bowl contention teams before the season started may not make the playoffs in the AFC.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Wildly different reasons behind those flaws.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs are not looking great. Let's get into it. We got 10 minutes left. Let's get into this Cardinals-Packers game tonight. We're talking about the 7-0 Cardinals. Obviously, we rounded out the top of our top 5 power rankings here. And then we got the 6-1 Packers, who we both had at number 4 in the top 5 power rankings here. What are you expecting tonight? What do you think the Packers need to do to basically get by without Davante Adams tonight? Keep it close, at least.
Run the football a lot. Like establish Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon in this game. Keep Kyler and that offense on the sideline as much as possible. I do expect a lot of points to be scored in this game. I love the over in this game. I know it's set at like 50.5 or 51 or whatever. I think a ton of points are scored. Something you brought to my mind, I did not know the Arizona Cardinals were number 6 in pass defense. Aaron Rodgers' numbers in his last X amount of starts without Davante Adams has looked real. Like he's put up insane numbers without Davante Adams. So that wasn't a worry. But now you hear Adams ain't playing. Allen Lazard ain't playing, and I don't believe Valdez-Scantling is playing, or he's questionable to play.
Yeah.
So you're really down to Randall Cobb, wide receiver 1, Robert Tonyan, and your running game, right? So like it's hard to imagine a world where Aaron Rodgers can overcome that. When Davante Adams was the only one to go down, I was like, wow, that's a big hit. It makes the game a little less exciting because you're, potential NFC championship matchup here. You see what it's all about. he goes down, but Rodgers can still overcome it because he's that great. I can't see him losing his top 3 wide receivers against the number 6 pass defense in the football on the road. I don't see a world where the Packers win, but if they can, like you asked, I think this has to be a Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon type of night. Rush. What did you say the Cardinals were 21st or something in against the run on defense?
Rush defense.
You got to establish it early. Obviously, that will open up the play action, which will make Aaron a lot more effective. Keep that offense on the field, off the field, I should say, for Arizona. And then just convert when you can. Field goals are not going to cut it tonight if you're Green Bay.
Yeah.
So anytime Rodgers crosses the 50, anytime Rodgers crosses into the red zone, they have to come away with 6. They're not going to beat them with field goals. But I do think it's a long shot for Green Bay to win this game.
Yeah, and listen, I'll be square with you and our listeners. I don't got the Packers winning this game. Probably wouldn't have had them winning the game with Davante Adams in reality. Although I do feel like Cardinals are getting to that point where they're due for a loss to a good team. The only shot they have tonight, you mentioned it, Aaron Jones has to have a night, which I have down here. But Aaron Rodgers just has to have one of those just mind-blowing MVP performances where he raises, like you said earlier, that one thing Jalen doesn't do. Well, Aaron Rodgers has shown that he can do it in times. If he can do that tonight and raise this team up on his shoulders, carry them to the promised land. But he's going to have a miraculous, a huge monster MVP caliber type game, which ultimately I do think if they were able to pull this win out, you might talk about him getting up into those MVP conversations as well. With that being said, Cardinals, it's going to be too much tonight. I mean, you need all your guns there in order to keep up with this Cardinals offense. You can try to run the football. You can try to keep that Cardinals offense off the field. And maybe you can. Maybe Aaron Jones has a hell of a night. But this Cardinals team is just they're prone. They have a plethora of weapons. So there's no reason that they shouldn't score 25 to 30 points plus every single night. And I just don't think the Green Bay Packers are in position. You mentioned it, without Lazard as well as Valdez-Scantling. Those are your two other top 3 receivers that you're missing, as well as Davante Adams. They're not going to have enough tonight in order to knock off the undefeated Arizona Cardinals. And I just don't see it. It'll be interesting for me. I want to see who the Cardinals choose to get involved tonight because it's like they just pick whoever each week. But what I really want to see, our guy, Zach Ertz, I want to see if he is going to be a consistent contributor to this offense. If he's going to get back to that, I won't say elite level, but just that top 10 tight end level that I still think he has inside of him. If he can do that for that Arizona offense, that offense, it was already unstoppable. It's completely unstoppable with Zach Ertz in the middle like that.
I'm with you, dude. And he scored it. I think it was something like he was the first player in that to score a touchdown in the first game with a new team or whatever that stat
was.
Last
game with his old team.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. Because he scored Thursday night against Tampa, and then also his longest career touchdown in his career, obviously. So yeah, I am looking out for Zach Ertz tonight. I got him alt over 19.5 yards tonight. Should be an easy dub there. But yeah, I think we're both on Team Arizona tonight. I don't know if they'll cover the 6.5 or whatever, or 7, whatever it's gotten up to, but I do think the Cardinals win at home tonight and improve to 8-0. It's just too much for Rodgers to overcome. And yeah, it
sucks. It sucks that Davante Adams isn't playing because I would love to see that matchup. I think it would go down to the wire. You'd get to see the full plethora of Aaron Rodgers with his weapons. And, it sucks. This would have been – I'm not even saying it probably will be a great, Thursday night football game. I do think Arizona ends up winning, but it could have just been one of those classic games, if Davante Adams is out there, especially on a Thursday night matchup.
Yeah. All right, man. I think that is going to wrap up this edition of Turf Talk tonight. We're both going with the Cardinals, obviously, for our Thursday night picks. I forget pigskin picks last week. You had the Eagles, which sucks for an upset. Giants, by the way, Giants handled the Panthers. I think I was 2-0. I think you were 1-1 on the week.
Yeah, I think so.
So my lead's back up to 1. Scott brought it back. Scott brought it back for a little bit. I'm
Maybe I
back
should
up
go
by 1.
tonight just to see.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm not doing that. I'm going to Arizona. But
Yeah.
definitely fell behind 1.
Yeah.
I'll
All right,
get
man. We have a 76ers game to go catch. So, Scotty, take us home with our sponsors from Manscaped.
Yes, sir. So as you all know, Manscaped is the ones that are partnered with DSM Media. DSM Media is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping using the code DSM at manscaped.com. Manscaped engineered the ultimate groin and body trimmer by focusing on intelligent functionality and an incredibly comfortable grooming experience. Their 4th-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce the grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The upgraded trimmer includes a multi-function on and off switch that can engage a travel lock. It also gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. And did I mention the wireless charging? The new wireless charging system uses electromagnetic induction, which can help battery length last longer. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code DSM at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com using the code DSM. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Your balls will certainly thank you. That is going to be it for this episode of Turf Talk. Make sure you're checking out all of our content daily. We have content almost every day of the week for you, and we are going to be adding more shows in the future. If you don't already, make sure you're following my co-host here at DylanJD98 on Twitter. You can find me at Scotty Drown on Twitter. And then, of course, make sure you're plugged into DSM at DSM_media on Twitter, at DSM.DoSomethingMajor on Instagram. Click the link tree once you're on either one of those social media platforms. You'll find our merch site. Make sure you get your favorite DSM, Turf Talk merch, DFS merch, whatever type of merch you want to support DSM with. We're bringing you content every day. Of course, make sure you find us on your favorite podcast streaming platform. We're on all of them. And then, of course, find me on your favorite, or find us, I should say, DSM, on your favorite social media platform. That's going to be it for this episode, guys. But thank you for tuning in with us. Until
yes, sir.